am here. It has been a long time since I've gone live on QCKC. A lot of stuff has happened, just in the world in general. So I am back. I'm going to start doing lives again for as long as we have TikToks, TikTok existing, all that other good stuff. So I'm going to be here. You're going to see me with my headset and my sensible pearl necklace choker thingy. And we will get started here. Welcome to season 3, episode 2 of Quaint and Cozy KC. Hello, Raven Girly. Hope you're doing well. So if you are familiar with me, then you know that I have a blog and a podcast, which I kind of, unintentionally put to sleep on January 20th, but I am back. Like I said, a lot of stuff happening in the world, all that stuff. And then even my own equipment, I had to kind of update some things. But I am here and I want to talk to you guys because I've not just been sitting at home in my quaint and cozy abode. I've been running the streets of Kansas City. And so last weekend I went to the Penners Conference, and that's kind of like this. It was like the Kansas Penners Conference. And really it was just like this 2-day event. It was on a Friday and Saturday, which again was a little strange to me just because it was like, it was like February 6th and 7th, Friday and Saturday. Usually you've got it like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But, again, they probably had to do a lot of teardown as well. It's probably part of it. But so I went on Saturday and I went kind of in the mid-morning space because I thought, well, my goal was to get there by 9 a.m. and then I had some car issues. But I had some car issues. But I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just take the back roads. And I got there. And you guys, I thought, because the Overland Park Convention Center, it's huge. There's so many things. I've gone to conferences there before. I had to park like 2 blocks down the street. And it was like kind of like one of those days where it's kind of like rainy, kind of like, like that kind of like wintry weather. It wasn't horrible, but there's definitely a chill in the air. So I was like, running across the street, trying to get there to meet my friends. And then we ended up like, we're like, hey, I'm here. And then they're like, we're downstairs. And so I'm like, yeah. So I went downstairs and they were going up as I was going down. It was just a comedy of errors. We got everything together finally. And so I went with Creating Heartstrings, the lady that runs Creating Heartstrings. And she's got like a great, if you guys are on TikTok, follow her. Please follow her. She's so creative. And she's also on Facebook. I know she has more of a Facebook presence right now, but she's working on getting her TikTok stuff together. But she does the kits. I did a vision board with her a couple of weeks ago. She like does kind of like, she's done home parties before. And then she has a place in the plaza area where she, has her one of her stands and everything. And I'm just like, oh, wow. I mean, I was in awe. And one of the things about it with everything going on in the world, it was great to kind of like be in a space where we could just create and talk to each other and, just have a lot of fun. And so that's kind of like, I'm encouraging people because, it is Quaint and Cozy KC. I'm encouraging people, especially right now, to go and find a place where you can kind of have that experience, like take a break from everything and get into crafting. I know everybody has a different price point, but we were talking about this, during our vision board, like crafting isn't just like doing like the knitting and the crocheting and the needle point. It's other things as well. I mean, crafting your paint, you can be painting things, putting things together. That's where those kits come in because you don't have to worry about like cutting, unless you want to, cutting out your own things. It comes in a kit and it shows you what it should look like. And sometimes you just want to use your hands and kind of work through some things. You don't want to necessarily have to trace everything and then cut everything out and all that stuff. Like a kit, it comes pretty much already pre-assembled, or it's very easy to put together. And, it's a great way to kind of like relax. And it's a great way to just, spend time with friends. We were talking, I'm like, doing these vision boards, doing like this group craft kind of thing. It's one of those things that would be great as one of those afternoon bridal showers. If you're a bride of a certain age or you've got like family where it's like you got like a big family and, not everybody is super young. You got Nana and great aunties, all that stuff. Having like a crafting party and, getting some kits and having a crafting party, even if you're not very good, it's just something fun to kind of do. And it keeps you busy and you get to talk to people and have some like nice music on in the background. Just a nice experience. Do that for a couple hours. And, after doing that vision board, I think I was there for like 3 or 4 hours. only because, I think it was only supposed to be 2 hours. Then we got to chatting. And so, I was doing it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. I felt so relaxed. I left the store and I was so relaxed. I was like, oh my gosh, I am so relaxed right now. And it really did and it was a Sunday. It kind of helped me to start my week a little bit more intentionally because I was able to kind of have that relaxing time. And I'm so glad that I was able to do that because it was a lot of fun. And I just want to make sure I'm scrolling through. I just want to make sure I get the correct address for where we had the vision board making, because it is KC Style House. Now that's who houses, creating heartstrings, and then other vendors there are there as well. One of the fun things to do is maybe go, and I'm not sure because the plaza changes all the time, but I'm not sure as far as what is there. I'm trying to TikTok's giving me all these instructions. But it's like if you can maybe find a coffee shop, something like that to go ahead of time, but there's a little restaurant in that area, and then have your lunch and then go and walk around the store. And it's so, it would take you, if you're just intentionally walking around looking for things to buy or looking for things to kind of look at, get some inspo, it would probably take you a good 2 hours. So it's a nice little outing. So you meet for breakfast or I would say lunch at 11, and then 12:30 you're in walking around the store, and then you can get out of there by 2:30 and then you're home. But I just really enjoyed it, and especially as the weather kind of warms up a little bit more, it's a nice kind of place to stop in. The plaza has a lot of cute little areas, fun places to go to in the daytime. I'm always if I go to a certain area of town, I like to not just go to that one thing. It's oh, I'm just going here for lunch. I'm always searching to see, if I don't know the neighborhood, if there are any stores nearby, if it's nearby, the kind of the more downtown area of the neighborhood, I would say, the bricks and, the bricks and mortar, all that stuff, the stores all over there, the storefronts, I try to do that because I kind of wanted to, not just for blogging and posting pictures, but just also to know my city better. I definitely think that had I started this Quaint and Cozy KC journey in 2012 when I moved here, I probably would not have had such a rough adjustment coming from the East Coast back to the Midwest. I would have been able to kind of ease into it. So again, that's a whole little sidebar. But so we're in the Pinners Conference. I'm taking you on the back there. We're in the Pinners Conference, and we walk in, and there was just wall to wall people. And what I really appreciated is that they had crafts there, they had food, they had some local home decor. Even some construction people there, just kind of they had their booths all around. And it was really cool to see how many people were selling kits and how many people were selling little supplies, and they were like nice little t-shirts. And then they actually had live classes going kind of in the far corner. There were classes, and then there were little stations, little make stations. And I didn't get the whole story on that because it was just so packed. I didn't want it. People were really into their thing. I didn't want to bother them. But I don't know if you took a kit and then all of a sudden you were trying to work on it there, if they it looked like they might have already had kits there that you could purchase, and then you could just sit there and kind of work on it. It was even though there's a ton of people and it was super crowded, it was really peaceful. And also just seeing all the food, there's a lot of food vendors there. There's a place called Cake Boo that's, I think, on Southwest Boulevard, I believe. Oh my gosh, the cake looks so good. If I hadn't already eaten a huge lunch, I definitely would have taken a slice of cake, but I was super full, and we had a long way to venture across. And yes, they are actually in Midtown. They're West 39th Street, and they they're appointment only. They're a bakery. They specialize in custom designed cakes for all occasions. So Cakeaboo, I should say, Cakeaboo is what it's called. So definitely going to be checking that out. So, Pinners Conference, we're walking around, and we were there probably for maybe a couple hours or so. And it felt really good. And then they had a nice concessions, because this was at the Overland Park Convention Center. So they actually did have real concessions. I thought, they were a little overpriced, but that's what it is, right? When you go to any kind of conference, whatever, you're going to expect to pay some money for the concessions. But they did have tables, not a ton of tables, but they had enough. And it was kind of they set it up so you could, eat and chat with people. But when it was time for you to get up, if you were done eating, you needed to kind of get up, right? Not just linger there like you're in a regular restaurant. so other people can kind of have a chance to sit down and enjoy their food as well. And so definitely would be going back to the Kansas Pinners Conference. And then it made me think, because I live in the Northland, and we were talking because, the other people I was with, they live in the Northland too. I'm like, how cool would it be if any of my Northlander people are watching? And then I'll make some inquiries too to some Northlanders. How cool would it be for us to have something, nothing that directly competes with the Kansas Pinners Conference, right? But maybe having something the following month, like in March, something like that, where we had our own kind of craft show, where we kind of had that. And maybe, again, these are the kind of things that you can't necessarily set it up for a whole weekend. But what if we could get something, from 9 to 6 or something like that, have people coming through? I think there's a lot of people in the Northland. I think it could possibly be a hit. We just start really simple, and then just kind of take it from there. But that's definitely, and that's on my list of things to inquire about with some of my Northland mavens who make things happen up here. I definitely want to ask them about that, because I think it'd be a great opportunity for us. And, March isn't, there's no farmers markets like really open for real, like not any full farmers markets around here up north open for real. So that might be a nice little way to kind of get people pumped up for the farmers market season that starts in May, I believe. I think it starts in May up here, maybe late April. I gotta go look at that again, but might be a nice little thing, get people all excited for the farmers market. And again, I just have a few months, but it's gonna fly. And so, for me, for the farmers markets, and I don't want to get too far into it because it's so far off, but I definitely have some farmers markets that I need to hit, and I probably will be doing better about trying to get those Wednesday farmers markets. That was kind of a challenge last year. I really was like, I'm going to do a Wednesday farmers market, but then I'd have to work late, and they're only from 4 to 7. So by the time I would get out, it'd be 6:15. And then I'd have to drive for 20 minutes. And then, again, there's not a lot of, everyone started to close up all that stuff for the farmers market. So again, as it gets closer to the farmers market, I'll talk about it more. I see all these people coming on here. Thank you so much for coming and watching the live. If you have any questions about quaint and cozy things and Kansas City things to do, I am your person. I can help you out with that. I have lived here for 12 years, but I was born in Minnesota, raised in Topeka. So I would come here a lot. And then I left in 1994 and I just moved back in 2012. But still, I feel like that's, almost 13 years ago that I moved back. I'm like looking at my notes like, oh, let me look at my notes. Was there anything else I was going to talk about? Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is, we've got a lot going on with Kansas City being in the Super Bowl. And you're probably thinking to yourself, do I watch this at my house? Do I go and watch it? Again, we're on this, we're kind of cutting it close. If you don't have those plans, if your plans involve anything going outside, right, you definitely want to try to nail those down. I don't know if they're charging people or anything like that to watch the game, or anything or giving like tickets or something like that. Again, you need to check that out and figure out what your plans are going to be, because it's already Wednesday. I sound like someone's mom. I'm like, it's already Wednesday. It's already Wednesday. So if you're looking to watch, outside, people might be doing reservations. Like, you definitely want to kind of make sure. And also you have to understand that a lot of times what people will do is, if it starts at 4, if they start really doing the coverage at 4, people will show up there at like 2:30. So it's not going to be something where you can just like roll in and watch unless you have some kind of reservation situation, if you're going to go out and actually watch the game. So again, something to kind of keep in mind. If you're going to watch the game, to kind of get those plans together. I would say, even if you're doing a Super Bowl party, anything like that, you want to get those plans kind of nailed up. By now, you should kind of know what you're going to be having at the party. Like, that's just my opinion on that. So it's less stress, because, people are going to be out there snatching up all the good snacks and all that. So, you want to kind of have everything locked down, at least by tomorrow, I would think, but everybody's different. Sometimes people are fine with just having like chips and dips and like hot dogs, nothing wrong with that. Or like doing some, heating up some frozen sliders. I am not judging you at all. Okay. Not at all, but just something to keep in mind, since, we are in the Super Bowl. Hopefully we can go 3 times and show America what we're really made of as the Chiefs, as a team. Okay. So now, today, before on my lunch break, I was doing something super nerdy. Now, if you listen to my podcast, then I like to talk about the library. I am all about the library, okay? And I'm always like, you know, there's all these hidden things at the library. And I think when the pandemic hit, people kind of were like, you know, they didn't really have a choice. They're like all, you know, they got their online cards. They were, you know, kind of like doing audiobooks. They were kind of doing some of the learning things. And I think that kind of, as we started going back outside, I think people have really kind of forgotten about their local libraries. Now, I am based out of Kansas City, but if you're listening to me outside of Kansas City, you probably have a public library nearby. So this, you know, it applies to you as well. But in the past, I've talked about like, you know, all the events that I've gone to at the library and like, you know, some of the learning opportunities. But I'm challenging you to, when you've got some time, go to your local library, public library website. And if you don't already have a card, sign up to get a card. I know it seems like everybody has a card by now, but some people might not, or you lost it, or you moved. So get that card situation together, but also go through the website. Because I think what happens is we might see something on social media, like I'm on Facebook, because I'm old, but I'm on Facebook, and I'll see these events, these library events coming through, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I'll like try to, and then I'll go on the library site, and I will RSVP for that. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then I just kind of like, are there any books that I want? No. And then I go about my life. But, you know, I do recall during the pandemic, the season 1 of it, you know, we're kind of inside. I actually went through my public library website. Like I went past all the books. I'm like, okay, I know where the books and the movies and the music and even the streaming. There's some of these library apps. You can stream TV shows. Like, you know, some of the seasons of TV shows, especially, I think Hoopla, where I'm at, they have a lot of British foreign TV shows. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at these people. So, you know, again, like if streaming's getting to be too much for you, you're getting a little bored of what you already have, you can stream things on the library, you guys. That's something to keep in mind, although you can't just go and check out 25 of these streaming things. Like they do limit you, but that's, you know, a good series is worth it, I think. So going on to the next thing, I would also look into the research and learning. Now, research and learning isn't just taking like, you know, Excel classes or anything like that. Like they have like collections of like state newspapers. You can kind of go through, you can access the newspapers from across your state. They've got then they've got stuff, homework help for kids. There's like resources for that, homework help for teens, resources for that. Again, these are free. And then they've got like this box where it's like, start your research, right? And so then you kind of like, and you can't see me on camera here, but I'm going to say research goats because I kind of low key want to buy a baby goat. I'm not going to, but I low key kind of want to do that. So I put that in the search bar, and again, I'm in Missouri, but I think that, you know, your public library probably has something like this. And so what comes up when I do this is all the books and all the resources on goats. So if you're someone writing a paper, that is very helpful, right? Especially because not everybody can get out into the world, right? That's why it's so important to kind of support online things. So, because there's some people that just aren't able to get out in the world for whatever reasons. They also have like magazines and other newspapers. Then there's blogs that they have on here that kind of teach you how to do research. And then there's blogs that talk about like the different departments. Like a lot of libraries have art departments, right? The people that do the exhibits, you know, they're in charge of picking the paintings that go up, the different exhibits. So, you know, there's that so that you can keep up with all your library homies. There's also something on here, WorldCat, which when I was getting my master's degree a couple years ago, I was using it just to kind of see, because you can look up all the library materials, like all the books, and kind of see, because I was trying to figure out where I could find some of my textbooks to kind of see, you know, I was like, well, because sometimes they would have them online. They did not, unfortunately, but you had to look. Also, they've got stuff like Libby and Hoopla, where again, that's where you can kind of listen to audiobooks and read ebooks and watch some TV shows. I'm not sure if Libby has TV shows or not though, but then you go on to your online learning. Now, this is so important right now, especially since, you know, maybe you can't go back to school right now, but you need to have skills. And so like on mine, it says Excel Adult High School. So there's a way for you to earn your GED high school diploma online. That's kind of cool. There's Niche Academy, and that's just kind of like lots of tutorials about different things. And again, your library might have something very similar to that, where you can kind of access like biographies and books about agriculture and the ancestry library, just stuff like that. Really kind of, it looks like you're kind of rooted down in certain subjects that are kind of, more specialized. Then there's this thing, and it's like 500 self-paced and instructor-led courses, universal class. Now, I actually took a couple of these during the pandemic, and you have to kind of log in, put your last name in there to access it. But they had classes, and there are video classes, and then some of them you took tests for, but they had stuff for flower arranging. I was like, oh my gosh, flower arranging. Then they had classes on obviously some computer things and grammar, writing, and just nice refresh classes. And you could only enroll in 3, because you know what happens with some people, they see all the classes, they're like, yeah, I'm enrolling in all these classes, and then they just kind of sit. So they kind of do limit you to what you can enroll in. But I definitely feel like this is something, and again, I think they give you certificates. I don't know how the real world views those certificates, but I think the education that you're getting is very invaluable, and it's free. Okay. And then now not everybody, but some public libraries do have LinkedIn Learning, right? And it's kind of like, and it's based on their, like they have their own little catalog. It might not be the same as like what I have on Premium, but still, there's something, and, they've got tutorials, they've got all those things on there that you can use, and, some nice, like I like that LinkedIn's doing some soft skill classes, like how to communicate better in the office, like things like that, because that's important as well. So, that's something too. And again, I was like, oh yeah, but then I scrolled down, and then there's new things here. Like there's Udemy Business. Now, if you're familiar with Udemy, they are like this huge kind of online business, like a skills kind of based thing. And, this is free. Like when you're on regular Udemy, you have to pay. There's some classes that are free, but a lot of them you have to pay for. But the ones on here are free. They're like tutorials that you can do. And then there is the Learning Express library. And I think on this one, this is just really helping people with like education goals and career goals. Maybe there's some skills that you need to kind of brush up on, some basic skills. And then of course you need your foreign language. Now I like Duolingo. I do. I use Duolingo. I've been speaking Spanish way before Duolingo existed, but they have one called Mango Languages, and it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more interactive. And then it looks like they've got some live homework help from tutor.com as well. And then that's kind of like, I'm just kind of like touring through here, but then they also have mobile apps. So again, I know that apps have been around for a long time, but I never think about putting the library app. The only apps I have on my phone for the library are like Libby to listen to audiobooks and Hoopla to listen to audiobooks. But it never occurred to me, like maybe I should, get the My MCPL Mid-Continent Public Library in the Kansas City area on an app. But I'm sure that your app, your library has the same thing. Now go to the events tab, and you will see you guys, back in the day when I grew up and speak in the 80s, they had like these book clubs, and they read like Agatha Christie novels, and then they'd show like Casablanca for like 1,000 times a year. There's always something like that. And then they'd have a kid thing. So we had to watch Herbie the Love Bug. Things like that. It just wasn't very varied. Or sometimes they'd have a genealogist come in, or sometimes someone would kind of come in and read some poetry, but it was all kind of things. They'd have these events like quarterly, like a couple events quarterly. And then after that, you weren't really doing anything. But now the library, you guys, it's really come up here. I definitely would say it has come up. They have, they have like kind of book groups here, but not just like one book. They've got virtual book groups, community book groups, youth book groups. And they've got like, and again, I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like different things. Cause again, not everybody can travel. So, and outside their house. So I think it's cool that they have a virtual book group. I think that gives a lot of people who are shut in or unable to kind of, come and go as they please. It gives them, especially I'm thinking of the elderly, it gives them kind of like, a way to kind of stay connected to the world. Okay. And so also you guys, with these events, I did not take this. I'll be honest with you. I didn't take how competitive these events were. At first, I was like, I want a wait list for a library event. Okay, whatever. But no, it's serious. It is serious business. And I also want to say that, so last year, Julia Quinn, she wrote the Bridgerton series. She came and I was able to, I just happened to be scrolling through and I got on the wait list. I'm like, oh man, it's busy on the wait list. But then like maybe a couple weeks before, someone bowed out, and that's just good etiquette. You know, you bow out, can't make it. Someone bowed out and I was able to kind of score like a ticket. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And it was great. And I thought, man, these libraries, and then I was talking to one of my friends who doesn't live here, lives in Indiana. And she was like, oh yeah, you know, we have these things. And we were kind of talking about how the library has come a long way from, you know, when we were growing up, like in the 1980s. They also have, and so when I went to see Julia Quinn, they had this thing called Romance Genre Con, and that was so cool. And they do it every August at one of the libraries here. So that was kind of cool. And then they also have things for, you know, different like months and all that stuff. And they've got these virtual events, which I love because you can learn about so many things doing these virtual events, like writing basics. You can learn history things. You can learn about vital records, like genealogy. I love it. And then also, you know, as I said on the wait list, you got to really kind of be cognizant that if you can't make it, to just go ahead and get off that wait list, just because people are kind of waiting and they take it seriously. Okay. They are not messing around. And then also in our area, we're very lucky. We've got like this Green Hills library, the branch, and they have a cooking school there, a culinary school, where they teach people from the community how to cook various things. And they've been branching out. They're going to have more ethnic foods there as well. And so it's going to be fun. And then on my other podcast, I actually did interview one of the instructors there. So I'm getting that interview together. So hopefully I can post it next week. Did a great interview with her, Chefy. It was so great. And so, yeah, I mean, like this is just, and I know you don't live in Missouri, possibly. If you're watching this on TikTok, you might not live in Missouri, but I would definitely challenge you to get that library card, set up that library account, and register for some of these events. And also to get on, if you can do it, now not everyone can do it, get on their weekly email if you can. I know not everyone can do that, but that's where you can kind of learn about the weekly event notification, so you can always stay in the know, so you're not having to obsessively scroll through and be like, okay, what do I want to do in the next couple of weeks, and scrolling through because it's going to come to your email. But again, a lot of stuff is coming to our email. So I totally understand if you're like, nah, I'm good, I'm just going to kind of take my chances. You know, that works as well. No judgment here. No judgment here. Now that we are coming to, I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon. I did want to say, because we do have Valentine's Day next weekend, and I do plan on doing a show before then, but I would just challenge everybody to think about date night ideas. And again, Valentine's Day is also next week, as it's like the 13th, but it can be any day you want it to be. I know people that, you know, maybe they're not seeing people, or everyone just wants to hang out. Like they're like, we'll do our Valentine's Day and then we'll go hang out with other people. We'll start off that way, however you do it. But, you know, just to be with people right now. And definitely think about some of the things you can do, like a museum, like going to the museum, because there's all kinds of museums. And most cities, there's so many cool little museums that you don't even think about. You think, oh, I don't want to go to the big museum. I don't feel like, but there's all these small museums. If you look up in your city, just to put like, you know, museums in the city, you're going to find all kinds of cool little quirky museums. Now, I know some of the museums might be dark right now until March, but some are not. Look at that. And, you know, you can walk around. It probably has like maybe 45 minutes, you know, a nice 45-minute walk around and go grab a meal, grab like a Valentine's Day lunch or something like that, or Palentine's Day a lunch, or even Galentine's Day lunch. Go and grab that. And it's just some fun things to do. I also like to, weather permitting, stroll around downtown areas. Of course, the museum, and sometimes those museums and libraries, they have coffee shops for people to kind of enjoy things. That's something else. If you decide, you know, you want to have a low-key Valentine's Day or Valentine's Day, you can meet up in the library and go to the coffee shop. They've got community rooms. If y'all all just want to like hang out in the community room, you know, sign up for a space for a couple hours. You guys can chat and laugh and you'll work on things, and then, you know, go your separate ways. I don't know if they all allow food in there, but they do have coffee shops in a lot of these libraries, these nice little spaces, these co-working spaces. So that's just something to kind of think about. Maybe you can do an impromptu tasting, like, you know, like tea. I was thinking about that. I'm like, how do you do a tea tasting? I was like going through my head, like, how would I do that? And I guess I would just have people bring 3 teas that they like, and then just tell, like, which one are you bringing, so we don't have a bunch of the same tea. And then if you have 4 or 5 people with you, you can get some flights together. Even if you pick a season of tea, you say, okay, bring 1 dark tea, bring 1 kind of like non-caffeinated tea, bring like, and again, I'm gonna go like, I'm like, my mind is sparking, so I gotta write that down. You could do a tea tasting. You could even do a cute little game night or card party, like a casual card party. You know, or I did a soup tasting one Valentine's Day weekend. I had all my friends come, and we did like, everybody brought a soup, and then we all, like, you know, and I had little sample cups and people could try, and I had to-go cups. So if you liked the soup, you got to take the soup home, something like that. Again, everybody is in different stages with their relationships and with love. And I know sometimes people can feel really isolated around this time of year. And so it's just some ideas to kind of keep it, you know, keep everything happy and upbeat, and also support some of these local area restaurants. And, you know, you might be able to meet for like a little bit of coffee and like a croissant. My French is so terrible. And meet people the day of Valentine's Day, do a lunch, do maybe an early dinner, you know, anything. Go to the movies, get a group together and go to the movies. Although I'll tell you that in my Valentine's Day dates, going to the movies, there's like all these people at the movies, and you're thinking, why are all these people at the movies? But you know, it's part of the whole thing. So, but also there might be movie events around town that aren't, you know, there might be a little bit smaller events that you could check out. There might be some plays going on. I always think it's kind of romantic to go see a live performance on Valentine's Day. That's kind of cool. Like, support, maybe there's a local symphony playing and you can go and support them, and maybe like, you know, catch a little libation after that, or go to dinner ahead of time. All kinds of quaint and cozy ideas that you can do. And to me, it doesn't matter how big your city is. You know, you can find some place where you're at. I know there's some exceptions because my parents are from very small towns in Kansas, but you know, there's still something within, you know, 15, 20 minutes of you, fingers crossed, that you can kind of go and visit. Even if you end up like, you know, at a chain restaurant, that's still spending time with people. I know some people have things against chain restaurants, or you end up doing some kind of potluck or some kind of pizza night at someone's house. Just, you know, again, we all need each other right now. It's like a kind of an uncertain time. So, you know, why not be quaint and cozy on Valentine's Day with your person or your pals or your gals, whatever it is. Okay, you guys can find me at quaintandcozykc.com. You can also find me on TikTok, and I'm going to start making actual videos. I got busy, and then when they were talking about banning TikTok, I was like, I need to, you know, I got other priorities now. But and again, they still might ban it, but we do have some time. So and then also I'm on YouTube, and I'm going to start posting on there as well. And then I'm on Instagram. And so you can find me, and I'm going to be more active. I just got super busy. Real life was just coming through and going, hey girl, we need you. So, but now I'm back because real life's like, hey, you can have a little bit of a break and kind of go pursue some passions now. So that is what I am doing. Take care, everyone. Go Chiefs and go Eagles. I kind of like have a soft spot for the Eagles as well. And you guys take care and be safe. And I will see you guys soon. Okay. Oh, I think I'm still on camera here. I was like, oh, hang on. I am still on camera. Let's see here. And that's why I filmed my podcast live. Okay, I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna end this for good. Now I have to like try to find the button because it looks like it's changed since I last did this. Okay, let's see here.